Hey everybody, Justin Holland with Regal Realtors. Today we have a special Christmas edition of Front Porch Conversations. We're going to be taking a stroll through the office at Regal and asking people what their favorite things about Christmas are. Let's go. We're going to start off with Melanie, our operations manager. Hello. Melanie, this is our operations manager, Melanie. What is your favorite thing about Christmas or favorite things about Christmas?
My favorite things are candlelight service.
Candlelight service, good answer.
Candlelight service. My aunt's mulled wine, which is a family recipe.
Right.
And seeing my kids' faces on Sunday morning.
Very awesome.
So,
good answers.
Christmas morning.
Christmas morning. Good answers. All right, let's go. I want to go. Let's go down this way. I saw somebody on the way here. All right. Well, he's on the phone. All right, let's check with Stacy Rose. Stacy. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. These people are crazy in here. Here we go. We're going to go talk to Miguel and Spencer. Miggy, Spencer, you're on the hot seat. Spencer, what's your favorite thing about Christmas?
Probably when my wife decorates the interior of our house.
All right, that's good. Miggy?
I guess family gatherings.
Family gatherings, getting together with family. Good. All right, you guys did pretty good. All right, let's go. Still on the phone. All right, guys. That's the special Christmas part of from. I hope you enjoy this month's episode of Front Porch Conversations. We've got John Bailey with Helping Hands. Well, Merry Christmas and welcome to this Christmas episode of Front Porch Conversations. I'm Justin Holland, the co-owner of Regal Realtors and Regal Texas Land Brokers. I'm here today with John Bailey with Helping Hands, a friend of mine. John is an RHS graduate of 1992 and has a great story. We're going to talk about John and his family, their commitment to the community today, as well as his organization, Helping Hands. John, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
John, you, like I mentioned, you went to Rockwall High School and grew up here. John's also a Regal client of ours. Thank you for that. Your family has a great commitment to public service and public education in this community. Tell our viewers a little bit about that and how you and your family have been so great to be a part of this community.
Well, this community is home for us, for sure. But when you talk about community, I mean, that's one of the things that our family always instilled in me was, hey, give back to the community that you live in. And so, man, when you look back at what all we've done and how we've served this community, it's vast. But just to name a few, I mean, we're a 12-year Rotarian for the Rockwall Noon Rotary Club. We have served on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce for business growth in the community. And then most recently, we just finished a 9-year term as school board trustee for Rockwall ISD. The last 3 was president. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's if you don't know Rockwall and you're just learning about our community, we have such great public schools here in town, and the community really rallies around our schools. And to serve on the school board is a step above just rallying around the community and the schools. So John won't brag on himself, but you're only allowed to serve 3 terms of 3 years, and he served all 3 and was the president, finishing it off. And you know, whenever you are dealing with the community, sometimes sitting on a city council or county commissioner's court, you're dealing with the policy within the community, but you're in the schools, you're messing with their kids and their babies. And so you have to make sure that you really are on your game.
Yeah, and then throw in the things that have happened over the last 3 years or 2.5 years too. So
That's right.
It was a challenge for sure. But you know, I mean, when you look back on it, God puts us in places, right? To serve at the right times. And so we just felt like that's where we needed to be. And
you mean you didn't think that there was going to be a 100-year global pandemic at the end of your
yeah,
your
no, I
tenure
missed
as
that
board
memo.
president?
I missed that memo, and I even asked JJ or Dr. Villarreal, who's our superintendent, I said, where's the playbook for this one?
That's right.
And he laughed and said, there's not one, buddy. So
That's
I don't
right.
know what to tell you. Yeah.
Your beautiful wife, Lori, has been in public education. Tell a little bit about her and her journey in pub ed. That's, I mean, I know for me, Neely is a big part of the why I get to do what I do. So
Right.
we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the woman standing behind the man there.
The smarter one in our family, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
No, she. I tell you what, she has a gift and a heart for education and making sure that the kids in our community get the education that they need to go on to the next level and be a productive member of society. And so she has been in education, gosh, for the last 20 plus years. But just most recently, she serves as the principal at Linda Lyon Elementary School.
Here in Heath.
It is. It's our southernmost school. And actually, it is now our largest elementary school in Rockwall ISD. I want to say, and so if I get this wrong, nobody send Justin an email. But I want to say there's around 820 to 830 kids at that school. So that's almost the size of a middle school.
That's great. I will take a second to plug Student Impact Ministries. Regal Realtors has a partnership with Linda Lyon and Lori's school that she's the principal at. And Student Impact has done a great job. We're here to talk about Helping Hands, but Regal has a great relationship with them as well. Let's transition a little bit into our history in Heath. We both grew up in Heath, both graduated from Rockwall High School. My granddad was my great-grandfather was the chief of police in Heath. Your dad was the mayor. You got any funny stories about that?
Yeah, your great-grandfather. I have a funny story about that. If you've lived here long enough, you know everybody back in the day. And I distinctly remember him pulling me over when I was riding my go-kart over in Dar Estates. Dar Estates did not look back then like it looks today.
Looked like a field, a pasture.
Yeah, it was. And your great-grandfather pulled me over and politely asked me if I would take it back home.
Yes.
So I drove it home, and I think he even actually told my dad that I was out riding it around on the street. So
well, see, that's what he did.
Well,
he never would really take people into jail or get them in trouble. He got you in trouble with your mom and dad.
That's exactly right.
So he would kind of either get you back where you needed to be or take you home. But you got in more trouble with your mom and dad than you would have at the City of Heath jail.
Punishment was worse. That's right. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Let's transition into Helping Hands. The organization, it's over 40 years old now?
Yeah, it's 47.
47 years old. And you have been at the helm of that organization for how long now?
The last almost 8 years.
8 years. So you saw the transition past 40 years and have celebrated a lot of those victories with Helping Hands, their board, and this community. Tell me how you got to Helping Hands, and I want you to tell our listeners from the heart what this organization means to you and a little bit of your journey getting there.
Well, gosh, how I got there is just an amazing story in itself. I did not go to school and graduate college to get into the nonprofit world. That's never what I thought I was going to do in my life. I was a director of sales and marketing for an HR outsourcing company. I was making good money. Things were rocking along. But again, back when I said a minute ago, when you grow up here and you've lived here long enough, you know everybody. I got a phone call, ironically, from Chris Cooney, who was a former trustee with myself.
And Mayor of Heath.
And Mayor of Heath, yep. But Chris Cooney called me and said, hey, the current CEO is retiring. Who do you know might be interested in filling that void once she retires? And oh, by the way, would you? I laughed and I said, thanks, but no thanks, but I'll find you somebody to serve in that role, because I do believe in the organization, and I do believe that the organization does a lot of good for this community. Over the course of the next 6 months, about as fast as I could run away from Helping Hands, God was standing in the front going, what part of this do you not understand? This is where I want to use you.
That phone call was for you. It wasn't for you to find somebody.
That phone call was for me.
Right.
And through about 10 to 15 pounds worth of weight loss and stressing and agonizing over the decision, my wife and I finally decided we were more afraid to not do this than to do it. And when I went in, I said to myself, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but I said to myself when I first started, I know nothing about nonprofit, but at least I'll be the smartest guy in the room, because what do I not know about Heath and Rockwall?
Right.
I've lived here for 48 years.
You grow up here, you know everything, right?
That's exactly right, right? So a weekend sitting in that chair, I realized I was the dumbest guy in the room, because we live in this community, we grow up in this community. We always say Rockwall is different. Rockwall County is different. And it is, I know everybody says their community is different, but this truly is different here. And I think that you live in a bubble and you don't see the amount of need that's right here in front of our faces. And that, to me, was what was most eye-opening about what I didn't know about our community.
It is a huge eye-opening moment for a lot of people that get involved with Helping Hands. And if you haven't done this, go to Helping Hands and visit, see what they have. Participate in some of their volunteer opportunities.
Yeah.
There's a ton of things you can do to get involved, not only giving monetarily, financially, but giving your time and your talents to them as well. John, tell me about some of the programs that you have. Because this is a Christmas episode here, I want to talk about Christmas specifically. But before we do that, walk into the programs and the needs that you fulfill in the community. For instance, the thrift store or
Sure.
the clinic and things like that.
Absolutely. So the common, when I go and I speak to different organizations or businesses or whatever to talk about Helping Hands, I always ask the question, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Helping Hands? And 99.9% of the time it's people say, that's where I take the junk I don't want anymore.
That's right.
Right? That's where I take all the stuff that I've cleaned out in closets. And I tell people, please keep bringing that stuff to us, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But Helping Hands is so much more than that as an organization. But our thrift store is a financial engine for what we do each and every day. It accounts for about 38% of our annual revenue.
Wow.
Comes from that thrift store. So please keep bringing us the stuff you
Keep
don't
bringing
want.
your clothes
That's
and
right.
donating it. You can get a tax receipt or a
That's correct.
501c3 donation receipt, like it's a financial donation. Tell me about the health clinic.
Yeah, so probably the best kept secret, which is a terrible thing to say, but the best kept secret of Helping Hands is our health center. The county has to provide medical care for the indigent population within the walls of our community, right? And so the county, long before me, realized, hey, listen, we don't want to be in the business of healthcare. Helping Hands, you serve this demographic. Why don't you do this? And so thus the health center was born to a degree, and it has evolved over the years to where we serve that, we provide that medical care and that medical home for those who have nowhere to turn, right?
Sure.
They have no access to medical care, no financial means to pay for medical care. And it might be free, it might cost you $5, it might cost you $10, $20, but we tailor that to the specific patient's needs and their current economic situation.
And Helping Hands is bridging the gap for so many people that have health care needs. They have maybe they can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to get that treatment. So such a great thing to highlight about that we have here, and that what you do when you give to Helping Hands is you're helping provide these programs. Tell me a little bit about Festival of Trees.
Well, yeah, that is our largest fundraiser of the year. That's where we really showcase the organization. That's what essentially carries our organization for the first couple of months of the new year, because you come off the season of giving, right? But the reality is that hunger never stops in our community. Financial assistance, the need of financial assistance never stops in our community. And so those are two things that I also want to mention about the organization, because we do have a food pantry and we do have an assistance and referral office. And that's where an individual or a family could come to us, talk about their need. We have individual people who will sit down and go through a case study with these potential clients, make sure you live in Rockwall County, make sure the need is really the need, and then we meet that by the generosity of this community. And so when you look at food, we will give out well over 250,000 pounds of food this year to feed the hungry, just right here in our community. And then you also look at direct financial assistance, especially now in the current economy that we live in. It's interesting, we'll do an all-time record of direct financial assistance this year we will clear over $500,000 just in what we pay. We don't ever give somebody money, which is an interesting thing because people ask that all the time. We pay the need itself. We make sure that the need itself gets met.
Covering the invoice for whatever that need is.
That's correct. Yeah. And so I share that to segue in the Festival of Trees because that's a big financial engine at the end of the year to really help support our organization as we go forward.
It is, and we've been participating, my wife and I and our company for a long time in Festival of Trees, and I finally told my mom the other day that she had to get rid of that old Christmas tree she bought back in 2011 that hadn't been decorated since then. So, Mom, if you're watching this, it's time to go next year. I will say, too, I kind of passed the baton this year. We had, for the first time in about 10 years, we had a group of agents that wanted to go rather than me filling a table out. It was really fulfilling to see some of our agents have a great time at Festival of Trees.
Well, Sandra, you're more than welcome to come to the next Festival of Trees. We'll get you a tree.
We'll figure out how to get you a new tree. Right. I want you to talk about the toy drive because we're headed into Christmas. By the time that this episode is aired, it'll be almost Christmas. Talk to us about toy drive, and then I think you have a really successful testimonial story to share with us.
I do. Our Christmas toy drive, and I'll put this out there, if you've never in this community experienced that or volunteered to help, I'm sure most everybody has at some point, whether it's this year or in the years past, donated a toy to the Christmas toy drive. But man, if you have not seen this, you have got to come see this. Come over to the admin building at Rockwall ISD, which is really right next to our main offices over there, and just look. But this is where we really strive, and this community really strives to make sure that every kid that's in need in this community has a good Christmas.
That's right.
And so we will take, and families can register for that. Once they register, they have their time slots. They'll come over to the admin building. Actually, it's tomorrow is our toy drive. So these families will come over and they will get to go into that admin building, be followed by a volunteer who's got a sheet that says, here's the name of the person, here are the ages of the kids, this is what grades those kids are in. And then they can follow these mothers and fathers around and let them shop.
And get age-appropriate toys.
Correct.
And something that helps at that. That's wonderful.
And they're going to get 4, 5, 6 toys a piece. They're going to get stocking stuffers. And I mean, we have every toy imaginable. Justin, I went over there yesterday. It is absolutely incredible to look inside that admin building and see how many toys. And it just goes back again to the generosity of this community, believing in helping others, but also believing in what Helping Hands is doing, is that, you know, we will always be a good financial steward of your resources that you give us. Right. And so we're making sure that needs are being met and that these kids are having a great Christmas.
Well, you don't get to be a nearly 50-year-old organization with that kind of track record without being a good steward of the resources. Please share the heartwarming story that you've shared with me before this episode.
I will, because this just happened 2 days ago, and I'm not going to give names, obviously. But I received a phone call from a local business owner here in Rockwall, and this business owner happens to be a very, very long time Rockwall resident, longer than you and I, actually. And so called and said, we as a company want to help a specific family. Do you know of something? And so I said, yes, I will find you a family. And so I literally just got off the phone with them, and my phone rang again. It's from another friend of mine who is a longtime Rockwall resident, who is also a business owner here in town, and said, hey, I've come across a family, come across a mother whose husband just left the family, 2 kids, got a first grader and a kindergartner that go to school in Rockwall ISD. They're basically living out of their car. Not basically, they are living out of their car. And they occasionally will get to go stay with a family member from time to time, but essentially living out of the car. A buddy of mine's trying to keep their car going so that she can get to work. She works at a local business here in this community, but they just cut her to part-time. I mean, really a sad, heartbreaking story right here at Christmas time. And I got that call about 5 minutes after I got a call from the other friend who said, I want to help a family.
Wow.
We connected the two, and I know, I haven't followed up yet, but I know for a fact that this family is going to have a good
They're gonna have a
Christmas.
good Christmas.
That's right, because of this. And that's really what this is about. That's why we do what we do. Whether you sit in my seat in the organization, we're just your hands and feet. We're this community's hands and feet. That's all we are. We just happen to have a front row seat to see
Yes.
those. But I have stories. I mean, we could sit here all day. I could tell you hundreds and thousands of those kinds of stories that happen right here in this community, and it's amazing to see people get the help that they need, no matter what it is.
That's so awesome, John. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you don't know about Helping Hands and you want to know more, reach out to us at Regal or go find Rockwall County Helping Hands on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, their website. Go visit it in person. It's a great organization that you can be a part of in a few different ways. Merry Christmas to you all, and we hope that you have a great Christmas season. Thank you. God bless you.